Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new video interview opportunity at Shogunet Gaming News. A Casino Esport Conference is an event that was held just a couple of weeks ago, and it has certainly become more relevant these days in order to find the intersection between these two industries, the casino world and the esports world. Since the pandemic, esports and video gaming and all related digital technologies have taken a more center stage for several business verticals. So we are joined today by Ari Fox, executive producer of the Casino Esport Conference and GameCon, to discuss these hot topics. So thank you, Ari, for joining us today at Shogunet.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it. And hello to everybody down there in Latin America. I hope it's a beautiful day there. It's actually a nice day here as well, and I'm in the northeast of the United States. I wanted to touch base on and the key points of what we learned, what we came away with on the Casino Esport Conference. And overall, I think we started it about 6 years ago. And with esports in mind. What did that mean? That means that we're trying to teach the casino industry how to engage, how to connect with this new vertical. And of course, the casino industry, the gambling industry, will gravitate to what they understand. What they understand is sports. So they understand, I bet on, the NFL, I'll bet on the, baseball, I bet on, tennis, or I bet on, whatever it is that they've been accustomed to betting on is how they will and how they did relate to esports. But I see what the takeaway from the Casino Esport Conference is that we're trying to change the conversation. The conversation is that you can't approach esports the same way that you can approach general and conventional sports, and the way that people place wagers on it, the way that we look at it from that perspective. And it moves much quicker than what they're normally used to. In the casino world and in sports wagering, there hasn't really been major innovation in this space for years and years and years. We've had the typical slots and the table games and all the other stuff, and there hasn't really been a gravitation toward creating much more immersive experiences, creating something that is much more impactful to a younger audience. What is currently at a casino today is what we have in both online and the online offerings, and that's changing, but the online offerings and in the brick and mortar are something that is much more geared to a Gen X generation or a boomer generation kind of an experience or entertainment. So, what we've been trying to do at the Casino Esport Conference is expand the conversation from, yes, you have esports, yes, this is how you should engage in it, but it doesn't end there. The conversation can't end there, because if I just built a casino and if I was around 50 years ago, 60 years ago, and I just built a casino and just had a room of slot machines in it, and I thought, oh, now I have a room of slot machines in it, everyone's going to come and play slot games at my casino. It's great. Everybody loves slot games. What do you think is going to happen? People will come, they may play some slot games, but then they're going to walk out because they lose, they'll just lose interest. Or if I just had, there's been prime examples for many years. There was off-track betting for horse racing and other things like that, and they were almost stores like that. You could go in and you could make a bet on a horse race that wasn't actually at the track. They didn't really work that well in the United States. They folded up. They went out of business because you need something more. If somebody's going to spend the time to come, and this is exactly what the casinos knew. They said, I can't have this bank of slot machines because that's not going to work. I need something else. I need restaurants. I need nightclubs. I need pools. I need, player club things. I need something to engage my audience more. And that's what they decided to do. They built these beautiful casinos that we have in Las Vegas. And I'm talking about 40, 50 years ago. We're going through the same thing again, but the integration, the technology is what's driving this entertainment. So it's not just about a brick and mortar that looks like Venice or that looks like, you know, the Bellagio, or that's really gorgeous. And those things are great, but in the real world, but it's that immersive, it's that hologram, it's that, you know, online experience. It's development into, because it's all coming from video gaming, the development and the growth into blockchain, into on the back end, the NFTs on the back end, the metaverse, Web3, all this stuff has to be integrated into their offering, because this is where the younger audience and their next audience is living. And I've been watching closely some of the talks that they've been having at ICE recently in this past week. And you know, the thing is, it's so funny because they talk about the numbers. Every CEO from every company from here to Timbuktu around the world talks about numbers. They watch numbers. What does that mean? Well, it's not about the customer really, or the experience. It's about what are my numbers? And you know, I saw somebody from a company called YouGov. It's a statistic company. They asked a group of people that I guess were going to ICE, 66 people, on what do you think of blockchain, metaverse, Web3, etc. And you know, it was positive, but you can't really gain a good synopsis of an industry from 66 individuals, you know, worldwide. So I think that getting back to the takeaways from the CEC, we have, it's a very intense kind of event that we focus specifically on the betting side of things, on the technology side of things, on the expansion of just, let's discuss esports, but let's get beyond the esport topic and the esport conversation. Because as everybody knows, this conversation is, if you want to talk numbers, there's 3 billion gamers worldwide, but only about 10% of those people are actual competitive video gamers. They either watch it or they play it. The rest of them are casual gamers. Well, what does that mean? I mean, I know what it means because I run a GameCon conference. And knowing that I run a GameCon conference, I have a community of people that I've been talking to for since 2014, 2015. We've been running GameCon events. People come in, gamers, just people who are regular video gamers, and I ask every single one of them, would you come back to this casino if you could play a video game for money, if you could interact with, you know, if you could play online for money and then earn points at this casino to get a free meal, to get a nice hotel room, to stay at the, of course I would. Well, as the casino, this is what their answer was, of course they would. But as the casino stands right now, with the offerings that they have, and this is going back, you know, to 2015, 2016, would you come and experience the casino as it is? Nah, that's for my parents, so that's my grandparents. There's really nothing for me here. Yeah. So, you know, the vision of what needs to happen is going to happen. But I think that my brother and myself are leading the way by having that conversation at the Casino Esport Conference. And what we try to do there, and the takeaways were if you spoke to anybody that was at that event, what we try to do is spoon feed the information. Like when we started talking, we had to talk about NFTs and the metaverse. And I said straight out to everybody in the room. And we had over 250 people at this conference, which is pretty good based on all the things in regards to COVID still being an issue and things. So I said straight out, I said, does anyone here, please don't be embarrassed, does anyone here not know what an NFT is? And sure enough, somebody did raise their hand. And they said, I don't know what an NFT is. So I had someone on the panel explain what an NFT is. So I think what we really find in a lot of these bigger conferences, and I'm not trying to, you know, bash my competition. I think those conferences are great and they have a reason to be there and people meet and there's a lot of networking going on, just like there's a lot of networking at CEC. But what I believe is something that is amiss is that there is not a everyone takes for granted that that person that comes to this conference and goes to this talk will understand what the person on the stage is talking about. And 9 times out of 10, they don't even know what they're talking about, what's going on. It's a complete miss. It goes right over their head. So what does that mean? You're going to a conference, you're paying a lot of money to go there, meaning you get a flight, you got your hotel, and you're coming there, yes, to network. Of course, you're coming to do business, but you want to go away with something. You want to learn something. And that's what we try to do at the Casino Esport Conference. And that's exactly what happened a few weeks ago, is that people walked away and they go, wow, I get it. I understand it. And again, even after the conference is over, we've instituted something on our page on the Casino Esport Conference website that you could go on today, right now, and join in a chat with other people and talk about what you're doing at your property, or talk about what you're doing for your online casino or your iGaming platform, how you're changing, and share with the community, the gambling community, the esports community, how you can, what you're experimenting with, and how you're able to make money from that experiment. Because the one thing that's very different about gamers, and video gamers in particular, and this community, is that it is a community. That's the thing. We have to understand that that we're really dealing not with numbers, but it's about the people that you want to come to your property or to work, to play on your platform online, and build that community and that following, that you know, the loyalty to their property. I can't stress enough about how important it is that the younger generations today are so enamored, so attached to the loyalty of a product. You know, it's been around since the beginning of time. You look at companies like Nike and Apple, and now Skechers has even gotten big. You know, they all find a niche in a community, and they have a community outreach. I would suggest that every casino that's on the planet have a community outreach person.
And do you think this, well, there's a lot in the plate there, but do you think this is one of the obstacles for major players in the casino industry? I mean, I was thinking about some few examples of companies like Entain, which has recently invested in Innovate, which is an innovation hub that will include more offerings for esports, for metaverse and related technologies in the extended reality technologies. Then we have just a few more examples. Well, I've spoken with Show Lupo a few weeks ago about their experience with Esports Entertainment Group, hosting the first US skill-based wagering event just a few weeks ago. And also, well, EEG became the first company esports betting platform in New Jersey. So maybe which will be the obstacles or what's that are making us see just few companies investing, taking the risks to invest in these esports and metaverse technologies. Do you think that this community issue is what business people that who think in numbers are not understanding today, or there are other factors that are involved today?
No, that's the problem with their user acquisition. They don't connect to a community. Mm-hmm. You know, they've connected to certain, you know, Hard Rock has a good name to start with. I have to admit that they have a good name, a good following from the Hard Rock cafes, you know, that existed before, and all the Hollywood influence and the music influence, and you know, the signed guitars from like Ace Frehley or something from Kiss or something that's on the wall, and all of that stuff. They have the fan base of people who love the music that is sort of instituted and interwoven with that label, with that company. But they're even that Hard Rock, I'm taking Hard Rock as an example, even Hard Rock's connection and interwoven into that music world is aged. They've aged. And the label Hard Rock has to be sort of reinvented, because the younger people will look at Hard Rock and go, oh yeah, that's an old thing. That's like, it's kind of like the Oscars, nobody watches the Oscars anymore because the younger people don't care. They want to create their own content. They're all creators. They're all imagining. They have their own imaginations. They want to create entertainment themselves. They want to be the center of it. And that, how do I even sit here and say that? Like anyone that's watching this interview from a casino side of the fence is going to say, what the hell are you talking about? Are you crazy? We're gonna have influencers. And so, no, I mean, how do you integrate that? Well, you can integrate that in different ways. You can say, you can have an influencer that represents, your label. You can have an influencer that represents Hard Rock Casino. And that influencer could challenge people and play people in video game competitions, or they're your reach out. They're your pull in of people. And the way that younger people connect online, anyone, if they build themselves up and get enough followers, is they can create their own content. They create their own thing. How do they? But keeping in mind, these older labels like Hard Rock and things like that. So, but you mentioned the other thing about the Madden tournament that happens, and the EEG and a lot of these companies like EEG. Esports Technologies, which is another one that's in Malta. It's a Malta-based company. It's almost like they try to buy. They're buying the idea. They get a lot of people with a lot of money. They dump a lot of money on the table, and they say, okay, I'm going to buy esports, and I want to buy esports wagering. And when I buy that, and I'm going to buy that with all that money, and obtain another money, and I'm going to build a metaverse, and I'm going to have all of this cool stuff for the young kids, and they pay for it, and they build it, just like Allied Esports built a massive esport arena at Luxor. Their concept is, I'll build this thing, and guess what? Everybody's going to come to it, and it's going to be the greatest thing. It's not how it works with younger people. You have to earn their business. I could build the coolest thing that you could ever see, but here's the funny part. There have been successful experiences. If you've been to Las Vegas recently and you go to an area called Area 15, I always talk about them. And we had the CEO of Meow Wolf, which is a immersive experience. They have it's a big, massive art installation. They have something called Omega Mart, which you walk through, and it takes you through different rooms, and you will open up a refrigerator and go through a slide, and that takes you into a new room, and you're exploring and discovering, and it's kind of cool. And that place is packed all the time, and they have virtual reality experiences, and there's people zip lining on the ceiling. So it's packed, and it's packed with millennials, and it's packed with Gen Zs. But they didn't really, they put a lot of money into that, yes, but the way that they interacted with their audience was in a creative way. We allowing the audience to discover, to go through this art installation and this creation, to explore the human nature, to explore and discover. Younger people love that because they're constantly on these things, right? They're constantly on their iPhones all the time. And if it's something, and this was a quote, I'm going to quote the guy, the gentleman from the CEO from Meow Wolf. So he said that if they're more excited to follow what's on their phone, that Vince Kabulek, that's the CEO. He spoke at the CEC. So Vince Kabulek, what he said was, if the younger audience is more excited to see what's on here not being challenged from what's out here, then
I
you
see.
really have a problem. And that's the key, is that if you can create some kind of an experience, brick and mortar wise, I'm only speaking exclusively, that can really gain their attention outside of that small little box that they're carrying around, or even utilizing this little box as an AR experience, you really can connect to people and younger people in the ways that they really want to connect. So, but that's all, again, we're going back to dumping money on something, building something, and what about user acquisition? So we really have to talk about user acquisition. How do you get those users? And again, it's all about connecting to them at something like what we run with a GameCon. GameCon started as a grassroots thing. DreamHack started as a grassroots thing. PAX was a small little thing. There's all these little conventions that start all over the place. And when you have one of those, they think, oh, you're cool. You know, that's a cool thing. I'm going to go with my friends. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to have a lot of fun. I'm going to play indie games. I'm going to play esports games. I'm going to interact with my friends. There's rave parties, and there's musicians that play gaming music that we dance to, and there's cosplay and all of that stuff, and that's their culture. That's the culture. It's culture wide. And so my vision is one day to have a video gaming adult arcade casino where the cocktail waitresses dress up as anime characters or something like that. So this is the future. This is what we're talking about. And it's very expensive, and it constantly has to be changing because you have to be creative. These people are creative. Their entire worlds are creative. That's all they do is create. They want to create content. And if you can be at that level in creating content on a continuous basis, then they'll gravitate to your product.
And just I think this takes a new generation of C-level executives. I mean, new CEOs with a different mentalities and different approach, a radical different approach. Maybe I was thinking when you said that these companies buy in the esports experience, I was thinking about Entain, which I already mentioned, when they bought Unicorn, that was led by Rahul Sood, who we have spoken many times, and he was also he shared some of the concepts that you're developing now. But he had good outlooks for Entain. At least that's what he told me. I'm not sure if you are what's your own assessment of the future of Unicorn inside Entain and these investments that Entain is announcing this year.
So at this point, I'm in touch with those guys. I've been talking to them. The guys that were at Unicorn. I'm friends with Raul. I see what they're trying to do, and it makes a lot of sense. I wish them all the success. I hope that they can understand that, I watched, this is so interesting. I watched this TED Talk, because you talk about CEOs. I watched this TED Talk. I don't know, do you have the yogurt? This is a yogurt company. You have the yogurt called Chobani. You ever hear of Chobani yogurt?
No, not in Buenos Aires.
Anyway, Chobani, the guy who started Chobani yogurt is this guy who was originally from Greece, and he came to the United States, and he wanted to start a business, and he went up to upstate New York in the farm areas because it's very rural up there. And there was an old yogurt factory. And he went there, and it was all run down. It was an old yogurt factory. And he talks on this TED Talk, and he says he goes to this factory, and somebody somewhere, miles away in a different place, was closing down that old factory. And there were 55 people that were left over from like 100 people that used to work at the factory. And so he said, when he walked in there as an individual, he saw that it wasn't so important that what the numbers were showing from that CEO who wanted to close the factory was the issue. It was the people that mattered. It was he bought the factory, but it was the people that mattered that worked there, and it was the people that he was going to service, that he were going to make the best yogurt possible for people in the United States to eat. And I think, having that in mind and thinking about that, instead of being in an ivory tower to crunch numbers all day, is really what's missing. And that's why I always come back to the experience that I've had running GameCon events, is that there has got to be a personal contact, a personal touch with your audience, with the people, each individual person. So if there's a person like, that's going to start Unicorn, they really need to be at events like PAX. They need to be at events like, DreamHack. They need to be at events like GameCons, because if they're not on the ground level talking to people about their product, just like anyone else would be talking about their product, just like Coca-Cola still does it. All the old companies still do it, because you want to, so, oh, I knew that guy, I spoke to that guy, this is a cool product, and then they tell two friends, and so on and so on and so on. But it's the days of knocking on doors, where vacuum salesmen happened in the 1920s, that still exists, but it's very different today. It's just one interaction with a customer. You can have that customer for life. And I think there's a lot of that's missing. And, the casinos expect that if they're going to throw something online, that people will gravitate to it, and they'll build their user acquisition. And user acquisition is everything that matters. It's funny because they talk about the numbers all the time, and how many people are following, and how many people are this and that. But then you look at their actual social media, and they have nothing. I mean, most casinos and online casino products, their social media is horrible. It really is. I mean, they have limited, they have limited Twitter followings. They have limited Instagram followings. They don't have anything on Discord, which is a major video gaming, social media platform. So it's like, you're sort of, it's like, you create this huge thing, and then, you take an ad out in the newspaper, which nobody reads, or at least the audience that they're trying to attract won't read. And you think that you're doing what you need to do. The biggest part, I got to say, is the marketing. They do not market properly. And that's another takeaway from the CEC, that we try to spoon feed and say, this is what you should do with marketing. I mean, I could stand in front of a group of people and operators of casinos and say, are you listed on Discord? Do you have a channel in Discord? And the first thing that come out of their mouth is, what's Discord? I mean,
yeah, I feel it.
But it's there's, if you're not part of the culture, it's hard to attract that culture, and they'll see right through it. Every gamer, well, you're not part of my world. That's what I am.
I was recalling something that I spoke with the XR Casino founder, Dan Martinez, and he said that now, well, the metaverse and the extended reality technologies could represent the same opportunity for the casino industry as the internet did in its time. So I was thinking that based on all that you have developed today, we still seem to be very far away from this casino industry leveraging this opportunity of the metaverse, like we did with the internet just several years ago.
But it's a huge opportunity. In fact, I was just at a sports wagering conference last week, and I was a speaker on the panel, and I mentioned something about about an experience some people had betting on the Super Bowl inside a metaverse bar. There was actually some people that like a whole group of people that went into this metaverse bar, and the NFL game was actually being broadcast live inside that virtual space, and people were making bets on it through crypto, right, of course. And then there were some regulators, and people were like, really? I can't believe that. Is that true? Did people really do that? And I'm like, yeah, it happened. So it'll happen whether the casinos are part of it or not.
Yeah.
It's a question of whether they're going to engage in and take it, like you said, take advantage of that. And I see that there's a I believe, in my opinion, I think it's a little bit of a fear factor in the casinos and the gambling space, because I don't think they understand it. And anything you don't understand can be a little scary. That's why we have the Casino Esport Conference. That's exactly why we have it. because we're trying to say to you, change is good, learn. And when you learn, you can embrace that change in a really, really, if more casinos would look at it from that perspective, they could change their whole view of what a metaverse is. I don't even think they understand what, do you know how great it would be if like Native American casinos could create their own coin?
That's interesting.
I mean, it would be, they're always looking to try to find more ways to make money for their reservations.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great to be able to create your own coin? I mean, there's an unlimited amount of ways today, technologically, that all these companies can benefit from. They hold all the keys to the castle. It's a question of how do they implement it? How can they learn from it? And, you know, we do all the research all year round. And then I build an agenda for the Casino Esport Conference. And then I have people come that are actually implementing these things. I had a guy from Decentraland. Well, his company's called Decentral Games. And I said, you know, I have a customer that, or somebody from a casino that wants to build their own metaverse. He said, why would you want to build your own metaverse? There's metaverses that already exist. There's Ultraverse, there's Decentraland, which is based by Meta, which is built by Meta. So they're already building these worlds. So the cost, it's so funny because I was watching another talk on ICE and someone said, well, the big guys can dump a lot of money and create their own metaverse. It wouldn't cost them that much money because so many metaverses already exist. You just build within that metaverse. That's it. So I go to Decentraland and then I find Unicorn there. And I could go to the Unicorn store and I can hang out in Unicorn world for like forever, but it's part of Decentraland. I didn't build the metaverse.
No.
I just built a piece of property in it that's called Unicorn.
And there is Vegas City in Decentraland.
Right. So and that's not as expensive as building your own metaverse.
I see. Well, you mentioned Ice London, and of course these topics I would really love to keep going and for more time. But just as a final thing, well, most of the casino industries gathered today at Ice London. It ends tomorrow. Do you think maybe because Ice London presented like there was more space for esports, but of course there could be more space, but if the debates are not the essential or they don't contribute to what we are trying to get to a thriving business for everyone. So do you think that there is a need for more industry events, but with different approaches, like Casino Esport Conference, but where people know what they are where they are after?
Because you need to educate more.
Mm-hmm.
And does that mean I have to drive in a massive truck and, you know, do a big esports tournament with a caster? And, you know, I watched it on Twitch, by the way. You know, I mean, people are lost. They went into and nothing against what they're trying to do. I think what they're trying to do is great, but there's a disconnect because people don't even know what's going on. I know that they tried to explain what was going on for that particular game, which they were playing, which is Apex Legends. And then they were talking about the betting factor, but it's like, what are people betting on? They didn't get into that. Was it kills? What were the, I mean, they had a list that they were showing, but I don't think that it's like you're taking someone from the pan and throwing them into the fire and saying, okay, swim. But or they're throwing them into the deep end and saying swim when they don't know how to swim. And I think it's a little bit, you know, it's almost as if I created, if I had a big event like ICE and I put in a hockey rink and I had the guys playing hockey, but the people that were showing up knew nothing about hockey. They had no idea what's going on. So, and then I told everybody, go bet on the game. What? I don't even know what's happening at this game, you know? And so, and that is just one game. That's just a hockey game. So Apex Legends is just one game, but it's not the game that should be focused on. It's the overall community of video gamers. What is that all about? Why do they like Apex Legends? Why do they play Apex Legends? Who are the players in Apex Legends? You know, why has it become such a big thing? Why do people play it? Why do you bet on it? What can you bet on? And getting through it, breaking it down, but not just talking about Apex, talking about Call of Duty, talking about all the games, all the first-person shooters. There's categories, there's first-person shooters, there's fighting games. So breaking them all down from that perspective, I think it's a bigger sort of one-on-one kind of class that needs to happen before you actually jump in and have people start watching tournaments.
It's very clear. Well, Ari, thank you so much for all this time and insights. I think it will be really valuable for readers, and hopefully, I mean, we have so much material to discuss. So hopefully, soon we can catch up with further developments and keep discussing these hot topics for the industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.